So in today's video, I'm going to be doing another instalment of my series talking about my favourite products from a particular brand. So the one today is Yum Cars, which is a UK brand but has recently become more readily available in overseas countries. So for example, the USA it's now available, and I'll pop links in the description to some places you can get it if you are international too. So I have tried most of the products in the Yum Cars range, and what I wanted to do was to make this video to help people who were looking for recommendations if they were new to this particular brand. So I'm going to take you through my top 3, starting off with this one here, and this is Yum Reset Shampoo. I'm going to go with this one first. So this is one of the 2 shampoos in their range, the other one being just their wash shampoo, which is the pH neutral pure one. Reset is a bit different in that it is an acidic shampoo, so there are some specific situations where you might want to use this kind of product. The first of which is ceramic coating maintenance, which is where I found most of my use for it. So I have a ceramic coated car, and I do like to use this every sort of 3 months-ish, depending on how contaminated the vehicle has got, in order to freshen up that coating, and it does an excellent job at doing that. I have tried a few different acidic shampoos, and this is probably my favourite. Although it's not the cheapest, I do think that the revival it's brought to the coating, I do think is probably the best out of any that I've tried. And I can see where the panels are starting to hold on to water a little bit more. If I go ahead with this shampoo, it will free that up, so that water just sheets and beads really kind of freely. So I've tried this in both the foam cannon and in the bucket. In the bucket I normally go for around 50ml, you can go up from there if you need to. And then in the foam cannon I'll go for a 1:9 dilution, which is pretty standard for most shampoos that I do use. I can't fault the wash experience with it either, it stays nice and sudsy, and it also does feel ultra slick, which is always the main thing that I look for in a shampoo, as that's what's going to help reduce wash marring. So if you do have a ceramic coated vehicle and you're looking for a shampoo to deep clean that periodically, this one is well worth looking at. Now it's also good if you do want to remove old waxes and sealants, however there are other products you can use for that too. I think the main sort of advantage of this is on coated vehicles. Now next up I have this one here, and this is the tar and residue remover, which is one of the newer products again in their range. So you might be wondering why I've picked this kind of product out, as it's not a particularly exciting one, and the reason being is that this is a little bit different to others that I've tried. Now with most tar removers, if you get them on black plastic trim, generally they'll cause streaks and fading and just be a total nightmare for the finish. This one I don't have those problems with, which is why I use it if I'm working on something like a Mini or an SUV, which has black plastic trim all around the arches and the lower sections, as I don't have to worry about it dripping onto those surfaces. It also means that it works really well actually on tyre sidewalls in order to remove old dressings. So if you follow the main channel, you might have seen me use it on a Megane in order to remove the greasy silicone based dressing that was applied by the dealership, so it's really useful for that purpose too. So although I don't think it's the strongest tar remover that I've used, that crown goes to the Garage Therapy one, I do like that it's a bit more safe on those other surfaces. So if you do have a car like the one that I've mentioned, then this is definitely worth looking at. Now at this point in the video, I did want to address Yum Cars as a brand more generally. I do think they have a very solid overall range. The cost of some of the chemicals is a decent bit more than other brands, but I do think they have a really quality range of products. The only products that I didn't get on with in their range is their ceramic spray sealant, which I did give a go quite a few times. I found it really easy to apply, the slickness was excellent, the water behaviour on application was brilliant, but I just couldn't really get it to last. I could only get just about a month out of it, which I do think for a spray sealant in that kind of category, I should be getting more than that. And that was on cars that had existing protection already, ones that I'd stripped back, and I tried it in a few different situations and just couldn't get on with it quite as well. So that's the only product really that I didn't get on with, but as I said, the range as a whole, otherwise I think is really solid. Now next up I wanted to talk about another product, which is this one. So this is Foam Plus, which is their spray sealant that's applied in a foam cannon. So basically you're going to wash the car, rinse it down, but before you dry it you can mix this up. I go for a 1:9 dilution in my foam cannon, spray it all over the car and then rinse it off immediately, and it's going to leave behind some protection. So I've used this standalone on a vehicle with no protection, and I have used it as well to top up my own car, and it works great in both situations. Although it's a fairly pricey product, the dilution of it is better than most products in this category, so when you factor that in it's pretty comparable there. What I do think stands out particularly about this product though is not only that it adds a bit of gloss, which generally I haven't noticed for most products in this category, but also that it does have some really nice self-cleaning. Now self-cleaning is a bit of a weird word, but it basically means that if your car's a bit dirty and it chucks it down with rain, The car might look a little bit cleaner if you have a product that has kind of those self-cleaning characteristics on it. Now, I've driven my car and it's basically been covered in salt and dirt and it's looked terrible when I've got to my destination. There's been a big downpour of rain and I've walked out the next day and it actually looks completely fine. And that isn't something that you get with a lot of products out there. So I do think that this one just adds that something a little bit extra. And if you do like this kind of product, particularly when using it in winter, as this is such an easy product to just get out, fully protect your car for about sort of 8 weeks from my experience, then yeah, I really don't think you can fault this. So in the description, I will be linking these particular products, as well as some places you can find the general Yum Cars range. I also want to hear from you too, so if you have tried these products, which are your 3 favourites that you would recommend to other people? I'd really like to hear that. And if you have found this video helpful, it would be brilliant if you could drop it a like, and thanks for watching.